Repair-O-Thon time. Saw a package deal for 14 machines I couldn't pass up. The story was somebody's grandfather unfortunately passed away that was into repair and whatnot. And all this stuff was in a pile. Well, not in a pile, but lined up. It was outside. I know some of them are locked up, but I thought, well, I bet you, like most of these little things, it's probably fuel, and maybe that's all. I don't know. But this is first up on the chopping block. I'm just gonna put them in speed mode and do a bunch of these in the same video, probably. I don't know. Anyway, this is the first one. A little Craftsman 2-cycle tiller. You know the order. Spark, fuel, compression. Compression, check. Spark. Can you see it? Oh yeah. Why is the word maintenance poison to people's ears? I don't know. Anyway, this had a bunch of schmoo and schmutz shoved in there, plastic wire, etc. The other side, the little pins are, one of them is frozen in place, so I need to put some WD on that and give it some light tappy because there's more goobers stuck in the capinkus. There's a, can you see it? Oh, grease fitting right there, so I'm gonna get the blades out of the way and grease that up. That ought to take care of that. And then we'll get on to carburetor. No problem. Went as expected, all the pieces came off and filled it on up with grease till stuff shot out. It actually shot out the front seam here, so, well, I guess that's how it's supposed to go. It's definitely full of grease, so if there's gears in there, which there must be, then everything should be happy. Moving on to the carburetor. That's all the poo that was wound up in there. well, that was your standard garden variety. Didn't really need anything except, you know, cleaning, I think. Obviously, we got to run it still, but I think that was just a cleaned out, change fuel line. The diaphragms in the carb were still flexible, so I think it will start and run. And I didn't see a high-speed screw. I only see a low speed. It's kind of weird. It's a little stumpy one too, so it'll be a bugger to reach that one anyway. That's the idle. Adjust. And anywho, yeah, we'll give that one a test run tomorrow. It's too late at night to run it now, so I think that's a winner. We'll see. That is the worst starting position of all time. Of course, off camera it popped off the first time, but that's all. Well, uh-oh, it runs. Tuning time. And tuned. Cover your eyes. Whoopsie. Gotta turn it on. Boop. All right, next up is this Craftsman self-propelled. I've never worked on one of these. I don't know what to expect, but I'm gonna start messing with it. I wanted to tear into the drive mechanism because that's the part I haven't seen before, but well, I'm not gonna do that. There's no point except to look under that cover and see if the belt's disconnected or something. Anyway, I'll check that, and we need to flip this up. Oh, maybe I can do it one-handed, I don't know. Check out the blade. All right, it has a blade. It doesn't look bent. If that all checks out, then you know the drill. Spark, compression, fuel, see if it runs. Then we'll worry about the rest. Well, one of the problem is there's supposed to be something in that hole. Where's the muffler? Dang, blast it. Well, so much for that one for the moment. feel like buying a muffler. I guess you could run it without one temporarily. Well, I'll keep digging. But what is this got going on over here? There's Mr. Spring. Interesting. Where did Mr. Springamathon used to go? Well, this one might have me beat. Well, when I say beat, I mean I have to actually spend money. I gotta get out my stash and see. The little spring, there was water in here. The rest of it cleaned up tolerably. The primer bulb is shot. The little metal rings there. I may have primer bulbs in my box, my stash. I ripped the gasket, which stinks, but I can make one of those in a few seconds for nothing. I gotta see if I got a little spring that holds the needle. And the rest of it's also pretty well beat. But I think it will work okay if I can get a spring to hold the needle. And those are pretty generic. They're not, I mean, there's room for extra length or whatever. That I should have a dead carburetor that I kept in my hoard that will fit on. So anyway, I think it'll work. If not, if I was smart, which I'm not, I just would order a new carburetor. But I think that's it. I didn't even look how that linkage went. I think I got it figured out on this governor and why that wire was in there. Long story short, this mower doesn't have a throttle control in the handle, so it's full throttle all the time, and the engine governor pushes back this way which forces, if needed, if the rev's too high, which way is it? It forces it back this way. See what I mean? So that's full throttle where it wants to sit, but the governor, if the engine spins too fast, forces this to close some to reduce the RPM. So the spring freed up after I sprayed it with carb cleaner, so everything moves freely. It's a simple carburetor. It ought to work if I can make the needle sit in there and if I have a primer bulb, which I don't know if I do. The fuel line over there is fine. I checked for cracks, cleaned up all the filth, that's fine. Fuel tank's been flushed out, there's no debris in there, so that's it. Screw it back together and hopefully we got the governor stuff in the right spot. We know it's got spark. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but it does. So I'm gonna take this cover off and see if it does have a drive belt. I don't know how that mechanism functions, but whatever it's got in there, I'm gonna disconnect it so I don't have to fight with that while I'm just seeing if the engine runs. That's next. Sometimes you can get away with cheapness, sometimes you can't. I don't know if I'm gonna get away with it. I had a primer bulb that was kind of a close fit, so the steel ring that is the locking ring, you can reach in there and get it out with pliers, bend it back, so it will grab again when you put it back. I had a primer bulb that fit, and I think it's a good seal. Poked it in there with a socket, and it sits on top of a lip. I think I showed that in the video. Anyway, but the original one did not have a hole in it, so I just RTV'd a little dab on the hole. I don't know if I'll get away with that, but probably will. I had a spring in my hoard of dead carburetor stuff, so that one will fit just fine, I believe. I did see, I wasn't paying close enough attention. Come on, camera. This does have a little hole that was clogged. I made sure that was clear. That's where it sucks the fuel in. So I think I need to research and figure out where that bolt plate can go forward or backward on the front side or the back side of the mount. Well, it can go two different places depending on where you put it on the bolt. On the nut side or the head of the bolt side. Well, that determines how much tension there is on the spring. I don't trust that whoever had this wasn't monkeying with it and had it in the wrong spot. So I'm gonna see if I can find online on the engine diagram how that's supposed to go. But I think I know the orientation of the push rods for the governor. I just need to figure out where it mounts, because it did seem like there was a lot of spring tension on it. On the other hand, I could just put it all back together the way I think it goes and try to start it, and if it is over governed, then I'll know. It's just take out one bolt and move it over and put it back. That's probably easier than spending half an hour on the internet. Anywho, reassembly time. how that's supposed to go. And then it's on full throttle, right? And when the engine spins too fast, it pulls it back a little this way. And that spring was there. This piece is on that side of the bolt. That's the way the linkage is supposed to go. Okay. I need to plastic weld that where it broke. Get that taken care of, and let's see what's under door number 1. Oh, denied. Ew. I think we've had a leak. That's what I get for pulling the dipstick out. What do we got in there? Oh, it's all water. Bonus. Well, not surprising. It's out in the weather. Hopefully it'll come back to life. What do we have under here? Oh, denied. Of course, it's another screw. I'm going in blind. I can't see it. Alright, gotta turn it off. Anyway, you can see what's under there. There is a belt. Who knows if it's any good? Clean it up. Let's find out. Okay. Just wanted to show how this part works. This gear goes on. It's keyed. Right? Oops. Hold on. Cover first. Then the gear. The gear's held on by an E-clip. Then the wheel backside meshes with that gear. Right? Does that make sense? Whoop. That all slips together. Washer and cotter pin holds the wheel on it. And there's one of those black covers that snaps on after that. That's how the gearing works. So I guess I don't know. Still got to figure out if well, blah blah blah. This part moves on the device, but the cable's frozen. So I got to get that unfrozen, then we'll be able to see how it all works. Yeah. Let's blow it up. Well, that's fun. In that process, you probably saw it. I messed it. One of its hubcaps fell off and, of course, sucked up in the blade and got destroyed. Perfect. Updates. The Craftsman self-propelled has failed. It leaked. This needle decided to quit working, and I took it back apart to clean it. So the mower would run and then it would stop. So I suspected something was clogged somewhere. Here's what I think actually happened. This little rubber piece, which is the needle seat, deteriorated. When I tried to reach in there and grab it, you can see it's damaged. And mostly that's from me grabbing it, but just touching it, pieces were coming off the top. So not only did it swell up from the carb cleaner, it was just deteriorated, period. So it kept looking like the float was sitting too low, that would seat the needle, and you couldn't get it adjusted. And you'd know this because when you're playing with the carburetor empty and you put a tube on the intake and you flip it upside down, meaning the float's, you know, lifted off of the gasoline, it's floating, the fuel's cut off. You shouldn't be able to blow through it. When you flip it back over this way, it should easily be able to blow through it. That was failing. It was barely able to get any air through there, and that fits reality, because when I'd run it, the second day after I changed the oils, what happened, I did the second oil change and went to run it, and turns out it kept dying. And you wait a little bit and you start it, it'd run fine, then it would die. That's because the bowl was filling up, and then when it emptied the bowl, it wasn't letting fuel in fast enough to fill the bowl up. And so a combination of these two things let me know I needed to clean the carb, at least clean the carb again. And that's what I discovered. So it's just not worth it. Carburetors are like $10 online for a new aftermarket carb. I happen to have one here. I think this was $8. It's not an identical fit. It has a choke. It does not have a primer bulb, but it would certainly work. If you look at the orientation, this is for a Tecumseh HM50 generic. There's room for the choke to fit there. It wouldn't interfere. The throttle plate, I guess that's what you call it, is the same. So the governor rod will go in that hole. Everything else should mate up. And then of course you have a tunable jet at the bottom. And this is the air fuel mixture, I believe, so you can control the idle circuit. That's it. I think I'll just use the aftermarket one I got rather than buy another one for $8 or whatever. Not sure on that. I may get online and find out. This mower being self-propelled, I think is going to be worth a little bit more, so you could certainly put $10 into it and not worry. And then just to rant for fun, these things are not worth it to fix. You could never do this as a business. It makes sense. Even at $15, say $25, let's say minimum wage. If minimum wage is $15 now, and I've done this enough, I know how to pretty much fix these things, but it still takes me 4 or 5 or 6 hours. Well, if you were a business and had to charge for labor and parts, forget it. You might as well go buy a new lawnmower. It makes no sense. So I get it, but for me, it's a hobby. I like doing this on YouTube for you guys to watch, and it doesn't really cost anything, and it pays a little for the hobby of. By the time I put a few dollars into the parts and then sell it, I make a little bit, but that's if my labor is free. So I get it. I get why shops always suggest, no, it's not worth fixing it. Just buy a new mower. That's true. And then if you do maintenance on the mower properly, you won't have this problem. But anyway, that's my rant for the day, and I think that's the problem with this one. I could just buy a bunch of those new seats, but by the time you start doing that and buying parts, I mean, $8 for a whole new carburetor, it just doesn't make sense to do it. Might as well buy the carburetor. One thing I could justify getting is an ultrasonic parts cleaner. I could really stand to use that. Anywho, that's it. Let me get this figured out, and then hopefully we'll be done. I already sharpened the blades and whatnot and changed oil the second time on that self-propelled silver-colored Craftsman. Hopefully this will be the end of that situation. Yes, cheapness and hoarding paid off. I should have filmed it, but needle seat. This dead carburetor I had laying around had a needle seat that looked perfectly fine, so I had to work it out with a dull, I don't know which one I used, one of these dental picks. I think this one has a dull end. So I poke it right in the hole of the needle seat and then kind of pry from underneath gently after putting some WD-40 in there to lube it up. And anyway, I successfully got it out. I successfully shoved it down the hole with that to seat it. And near as I can tell from using, hooking a line up and blowing air in it like I said before, that has it. So it's literally $8 for a carburetor that will work for this on Amazon. I ordered one, but cheapness prevails. We know it runs with this carburetor. It just wasn't shutting off. Well, I happen to have in my stash, my hoard, 450,000 fuel shutoffs. So methinks, just to be safe, now that it's cleaned out, I know it's getting enough gas, I'll put a shutoff between the tank and the carburetor, just to be sure. That also is good, because at the end of the season, whoever buys this mower, just turn the mower off when it's running and then let it die, so it burns up all the fuel in the bowl, and it won't go bad over the winter, and you can stabilize the fuel that's in the tank and probably be okay. But at least you got the option to cut the fuel off to the carb. That'll prevent, in case the needle doesn't hold, it's a safety. You don't have to worry about it. There you go. Cheapness prevail. Well, it runs just fine. I just noticed that the front drive wheel is not working, and I see that gear moving around in there. So I gotta see what happens. I think it blew off its E-clip. It's always something in it. Just. Once again, pays to be a hoarder. I had from Harbor Freight a set of keys and a set of E-ring clips from their storehouse. They're like $5 or $6 or whatever they are. And keep it in your stash for times just like this. Perfect. Thanks, Harbor Freight. Next up, I decided to do the cheapest, most beat mower we got. I couldn't even find much on this. It's I think Aircap, sold by Sears, model 1420. I can't tell a year, don't know. It's pretty beat. It's gonna have one of those joyous carburetors in the tank situations, which work out well all the time. And I'm sure it had water in it. But it's not froze up. It does turn. It seems like it has compression. I guess we'll test it. Oh yeah, we will test it, because I got a new compression tester, because my old one, the one I said was magic because it always read 20-something PSI. So it gave extra boost to every engine you tested, you see. Anyways, this one even has the old school Y handle, right? The throttle does work, so the cable's not seized up. So, well, I guess that's next. Dig into it. So I tested a number of times, and it is definitely sparkless. Of course, I'll test the wire, but the throttle works. So I made sure it wasn't in kill switch formation over here. It must be something else. So we got to dig in. Well, the problem is found. How to fix it? I don't know. Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it. I think you can see it. Yeah, you can see. You right there where the points are supposed to open up. I can't operate it one-handed. Like this. Right? Well, there must be a lobe on here, and this little shaft pokes out that would make this. It doesn't do it. If you grab the blade under the mower and spin it, well, you're not gonna be able to see again. God blast it. Now I can see it. Yeah, if you grab the blade and spin it, I could never get that to move. Nothing. So, I don't know why, but somehow I gotta see if there's an adjustment for that, or parts missing, or I don't know. But that little rod's not poking out and doing its thing. That probably seemed overconfident, screwing everything back together, but I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you saw it because it was on time lapse, but that gap did open. Problem was that the condenser, the capacitor basically, was pushed all the way out. So not that the rod pushes out, it's that the rod lets it in, and it didn't have any room to move. The capacitor was shoved all the way out to where there was no movement. So I think that made sense. I don't know. How much you want to bet though? How much? I don't think I'll take that bet, but I have high hopes that probably, maybe. Let's try that. Yeah, maybe. Huh? Uh-oh, I see nothing. Well, still see nothing. Fail. Okay. Took everything back apart again. I didn't look very well. While they did have the condenser misaligned so that it wouldn't work, I went the other direction way too far and it wasn't closing. Put everything back on there. Bada bing. There you have spark. So, reassembly and carburetor. Compression, spark, fuel. Let's get the fuel going. Sometimes you just want to go for it and hope you don't have to clean the carburetor. You never know. Fresh gas, fresh oil. Oh yeah, drink it on up. Okay. You can do it, mower. Don't be scared. God, hope for the best. Why are you always in the way, tripod? Every time. Well, let's try it anyway. What do I got this thing on? I got her on full throttle. Hope for the best. Hey. How does this thing choke before I do that? I'm just looking at this lever. Yeah, how does it choke? Is it supposed to be automagic? Well, let's give it a rip, see what happens. Yes, you are exactly in the way, tripod. Oh. Well, I'll be dipped. Every once in a while, you get a blessing. Sharpen the blade, and this one's done. Oh, yeah. No, wait a minute. This one does have the air cleaner cover and all that good stuff. I halfway wonder if, because this one's so old and beat, if what I should do is they make replacements. They're $5. I got a bunch of them. I wonder if I should just screw that on here, sell this one with that one, and keep the metal one for a better, nicer mower in the future. Nah, probably not. Just deal with what you got when you got it, probably. Anyway, I got to sharpen the blade and make that foam air cleaner cover. And also, if I really want to be thorough, and I do, see if I can get that broken muffler little dingus out of the hole there, and figure out what muffler this needs and see if it's a nickel or something really cheap. The mower already cost $10, so I want to put 0 parts into it and probably end up selling it for like 25 or 30 because this is so old and beat, but hey, it runs. Or maybe see if I have a scavenged muffler from something. Anywho, those are the things to fix. Let's see what happens. Harbor Freight, $8.99. Pipe nipple extractor. Is it gonna work? No idea. Get in there. Well, obviously it's already working great. Why does it seem like it's in between these two sizes? You dirty bastard. I gotta clean up that edge, and then I'm pretty sure I was right the first time. It's a 1/2-inch extractor. Let's just see what happens anyways if I start reefing on it. Get in there. Ooh, that doesn't seem to be doing anything. I'm afraid to use that anymore for fear it will crack the engine case. But I got wedged in there tight, that's for sure. Let me get a pipe wrench. Hold on. What are the chances that's gonna work? I don't think they're very good. Yeah. Is this worth it? No. No, it's not. Oh, come on. What are you doing to me? Okay. That's not moving. It's an aluminum engine case, I think. I'm gonna break it, so I better quit. Well, it is what it is, and that ain't coming out. It doesn't need a muffler.